and today I'm here to react to the first episode of The 7, aka the newest season of Dimension 20, aka the season of my dreams. Now, if you saw my trailer reaction, you know how much I was looking forward to this season because I think, one, all-female cast, love that idea. Second, I love the idea of going back to a world that we know and characters that some of them we've met before, but we know at least all of who they are, and revisiting them and getting like actual people to play them and not just make them NPCs but actual PCs now. I think that's so cool, and there were so many people in this cast that I really loved. So obviously Erika Ishin. Abria I loved because this was going to be my first time seeing her as a player. Reika, my darling, who I absolutely love. And then I didn't even realize, because based on the trailer, like one of the people that I loved the most was Izzy as Ostentatious Wallace. Did not even realize that's Brennan's Izzy. Like, I didn't make the connection until afterwards that that's his Izzy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes me even more excited because I love seeing couples play together, and I think it just makes like a fun dynamic to all of it. So Brennan is back at the DM chair after Abria took over for a bit, and they're back in the dome, which is super awesome. I love being able to see all 6 people in the dome because I was worried that they wouldn't be able to like keep as many players. They'd have to cut it down to 4 like Misfits and Magic was for social distancing and all that. But it's really nice to see all 6 of them, and I really like that. I feel like they came in character, which is really cute. I mean, obviously Sam and Danielle were very much in character, but then I also feel like Penny was pretty in character, and I feel like Katya had like a horse girl vibe going on, and I just really like when they dress as the character. Like, I feel like it helps them embody and also you to picture it more in your head when they kind of look like what their characters are. So I really, really liked it, and my expectations were definitely met. I loved all these girls in the first kind of thing that we saw of them, and then also they were mentioned in the one shot about Zelda's kind of birthday that she had. So there were some that we knew more than others, like obviously Ostentatious we knew, Penny we got to see speak, Katya we got to see speak very briefly at the end. I think she was like, yeah, we're gonna be a while or something like that. That was a terrible impression of whatever Brennan made her. And then Sam we also got to see for a while. So I think the only ones we've never seen, I don't think we've ever seen Antiope, and I don't think we've ever seen Danielle. But I really loved obviously Ostentatious from like everything, because like she's just freaking amazing and so funny, and I love Izzy's Jersey take on her. Like, she's very, I think she's a little bit different than when we last saw her. Like, she definitely wasn't Jersey-fied, but they said like this is the correct version of her, and I love that. And I love that she's got all the gems and, you know, just studded out. Like, her whole scene with her mom and her dad had me crying and laughing. I freaking loved it, and it was just so heartbreaking. And I think one thing that I'm so happy and pleased about, but not surprised at all, is how well all of these women encapsulated being a teenage girl and like all the feelings that comes with, and you know, the kind of dynamics with your parents and with your friends, and they all have different dynamics in terms of family stuff, but it's all kind of like coming out in a way that I think feels very realistic for how, you know, growing up as a teenage girl is. And I also friggin' love that this is the thirstiest campaign ever. Like, every time Brennan would describe a girl or a guy or someone non-binary that was very, very hot, like the fans would come out and they would just start automatically fanning themselves. And I was like, yes, I'm here for this. I am immediately here for this. And I just think there were so many like funny moments, but also already like heartbreaking moments, like Katya with her dad when he said he couldn't go to her graduation, and she was just like trying, like when Reika was like, she is very sad but is going to try to not look sad for the sake of her dad, like to not bum him out. I was like, stop it, like this is just making me too sad. And then when she was like, well, the one thing I'd want for my graduation is working, like that broke me. And it called back to when Sklanda showed up for them, not Sklanda, Sandra Lynn showed up for them, and they were like flying away, and Katya was like, thanks for showing up. Like, that just, oh, that broke. Like, the older I get, the more like I relate to like the moms and the parents, you know, when like their kids are just say something and they're like, of course, kiddo. Like, that's how I feel like they're my children. So when she was like, thanks for showing up for me, my heart broke. Like, I was just like, of course, like, you're someone that people show up for. And I just love getting to see the dynamics, like I said, of their families more, because it's these characters that obviously had a very traumatic thing happen to them in Fantasy High, but then they weren't the main focus, so we didn't really get to see like how that fallout, kind of aside from Zelda obviously, in season 2 of Fantasy High. But this is like a big thing that happened, and I think what shocked me, and maybe I didn't know this, or maybe I like didn't realize it right away, but I think it's new, I don't think it's something they said before, Sam lived with Penelope and still lives with Penelope's family. And I think the whole way that they described that scene of like, you know, Sam kind of realizing, I thought this was my friend and yet this was someone who was actively working against me. It adds a whole new dynamic to it when you realize, oh, she was living in her house. Her parents were her parents. Like, her family took her in. And I think, again, they did a great job, like, even describing Penelope's room, how it was empty. But Brennan said specifically, like, just a little bit, how it's just, like, a little bit nicer than Sam's room, and was saying, like, you realize maybe for the first time intentionally just a little bit nicer than Sam's room. So kind of explain how Penelope is still very much this presence and this thing that is there even if she's actually gone, and, you know, how that affects Penelope's parents' relationship and their marriage, and how that affects Sam and Sam's relationship in terms of this household, and how this person who was kind of a terror and a strong presence and the center of attention, how their absence, it doesn't make everything better. It can still feel like a very weight, like they're there, but they're not there. And I think they just did a very, very good job explaining that and showing like the trauma that these girls have gone through. And again, I think just specifically like all their families, it shows the different issues and struggles they have. You know, Antiope trying to live up to this family dynamic that, to me, it seems like she doesn't she doesn't like leadership. It seems to me like she doesn't really want to be in this role that her family has set her in. And then it also seemed like Penny has a lot going on, that, you know, they've done a good job, I think, of explaining and setting up Penny as like someone who very much, she feels like she has to have control, because if she doesn't, like, things are going to spiral. So I feel like that's going to be interesting to explore and see more of, like, when, you know, what gets her upset, what is like when she's like, I can't deal and I can't put a smile on my face, you know. And I think they described it in the adventuring party very good, of like, you've met people who are like, nope, we are gonna go outside and we're gonna smile at everyone even if we're upset, because, you know, we're not upset, and like how that affects a dynamic when you feel like you aren't in a place where you can express your true emotions. Like, you always have to be like, it's fine, we're gonna figure it out. Like, that can be very disorienting and its own kind of burden in itself. So I feel like they did such a great job. I love seeing some of the NPCs too back. Like, we got to see Bud Cubby, my man of my dreams. Honestly, love Bud Cubby, and I love that we saw a little bit of Arthur Eggfor. I'll be interested if we get to see like Rog will be cool, or even, I don't think we'll see any of like the Fantasy High people, because I don't think Brennan would want to like play them, but I think we'll definitely hear about them, especially since like Penny is, you know, Riz's babysitter and Zelda's dating Gorgug and all that stuff. What's really fun is that this is junior year technically, so like things could be happening that like we haven't had a Fantasy High junior year, so like things that could happen here could definitely have repercussions for if and when they do a junior year, which I think would be really, really cool, and just, you know, raise the stakes even more than they already are. So I absolutely loved it. I think it was a great introduction, and yeah, I love setting up the flashback first and then getting to where they are in the present day and kind of taking that back of like, you know, like, this is what happened, this is how, I love how quickly they got out too, like, it was no big deal. And then the thing in the mirror, I don't even want, that was, nightmares are made of that thing, and how it like tried to grab Antiope and Sam and like pull them in. That was, that, I like that they all know that's going to come back to bite them in the butt. Like, they're like, no, we're going to see that lady again. We know for a fact we're going to see that lady again. Like, we didn't get rid of her, but it's interesting that like it was described as something that isn't necessarily a negative thing, but it had a very negative name. So like that'll be interesting to see how that comes back around too. And then there's obviously something going on with the Mithril Factory that I feel like Ostentatia's going to want to try to discover that more, since, you know, her dad lost his job and things like that. And it just seems very like, it's definitely, especially like since like they're seniors, and even like how the episode ended with them being like, your party's being disbanded. It seems like they're at a crossroads right now, like that kind of turning point you get to when you're like 17, 18, and you're like, I'm a teenager, but I'm still an adult, and like there's decisions, and people think like they know how to make these decisions for me, but like I don't even know what I want, so how can like someone else know what I want for me? And I think they're just doing a very good job of like displaying all that and encapsulating all those feelings, and also just the friendship between these girls. I absolutely love the friendship. I love that Sam went and picked up Zelda in the hottest car ever, Sebastian. Like, I am sorry to Fabian's motorcycle, but the hottest car ever, Sebastian. Like, I was like, ooh, get me a fan. And I loved like just seeing how they're texting, and it's just really cute how they know each other and they've bonded over this, and I think it's really, really cute, and it's just awesome, and I can't wait to see more of what's gonna happen and see more of them kicking ass and just being their amazing selves and flirting, because I'm all here for the flirting and the thirst trap. So yeah, if you have seen the 7 premiere, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down in the comments. Also make sure this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!